Yeah, well, a crazy last 12 months it's been for Manchester United, finishing the lowest points tally ever in the Premier League, 8th, but lifted FA Cup. 2 cups on the spin, Ten Hag has done. No manager has done that at Manchester United, winning 2 cups in his first 2 seasons. That's a cup in each of the first 2 seasons. It has been crazy, Brucey.
Yeah.
A lot of... I mean, it feels that FA Cup victory... And by the way, United was superb, tactically, masterclass from Ten Hag, getting the better of Pep. But it's been one of those seasons that you go, how disappointing has the majority of it been? Champions League campaign, bottom of the group, couldn't even get in Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been some lows. There's no disputing that. It's ended in a bit of a high. I do believe he has been hamstrung with injuries. When I read something like 14 different defensive partnerships, I mean, it's centre-back, the injury crisis at centre-back. I think Johnny Evans, who was probably brought in to be 5th or 6th choice, played more than anybody else, which tells you the problems. No disrespect to Johnny. Johnny did terrific towards the end of the season, where I've seen. So there has been problems. I think he has been hamstrung with injuries, but the way he has shown the resilience, especially in the week in the build-up to the FA Cup final, I do believe he's shown great dignity, because it couldn't have been easy that this one's got your job, that one's got your job, and you're trying to focus on the big FA Cup final. And there was that much leakage into the press. You would think, well, somebody's drip feeding this somewhere along the line, that it seems pretty inevitable. I hope, for the sake of that, it's not just based on that he's won a FA Cup. I think there's got to be a bit more strategy behind it than that. I honestly believe that he should be given the chance and the time, because there's no disputing that they've been a difficult season. But, he's been in it 2 years, and they've had now 5-6 managers over the last decade. And he's in place. He's put certain things in place. Can they go and recruit better than what they have done? They certainly need an injection of 3-4 players. And 3-4 players into that team at the moment would make a hell of a difference.
It's very split, the Man United fan base, that I can understand. There is that.
Well, I was doing the last game of the season when they were playing against Newcastle, and they weren't split in the stadium. No. Jason, I have to tell you, they were right behind them, and they certainly were at Wembley as well last week. The support, what he had in the stadium and what he had at Wembley, for me, then, we hear the noise outside it and maybe on social media and this, that and the other, but I actually think the actual supporters who turn up in the stadium were right behind them.
What about Marcus Rashford? There's a lot of speculation about his future. PSG are rumoured to be interested. Mbappe's now signed for Real Madrid. They're after someone on that left-hand side. He's had a very mixed bag of the last 12 months.
He's had a mixed bag, and how great it was to see him in the FA Cup final, and he's had the kick in the teeth that he wasn't going to go with England, which obviously must have rocked him. I mean, you'd have thought 12 months ago that he was a shoo-in, and unfortunately he's had one of them disappointing. He has to deal with this. He has to deal with what's coming with him, whether that's a change. I would rather not, and see. We've seen it again in the FA Cup final of what a talent he is. He's a fantastic footballer who, played a wonderful pass for the second. There's not many people hit that sort of diagonal pass. He's got frightening ability, and he seems a little bit lost at the moment, and needs to find that spark again and play with that same energy and enthusiasm which we've seen him when he broke through, because he was a breath of fresh air a few years ago and did a lot for all the underprivileged children with free school meals and seeing the Prime Minister. He's got a lot to offer, but looks as if he's towards the end and towards the middle of the season. He's got a big shoulder, a weight on his shoulders, and he needs to get rid of that and play with that freedom again.
So what would you do as a manager how that conversation going into next season?
Well, I think this is the big thing now, Jason, of a big part of management is that man management skills. We see the expert at it in the Real Madrid manager, Ancelotti. He never seems to fall out with anybody, and I think that's the greatest strength of Sir Alex was. Of course you could get a rollicking. Of course you could get a rollicking. Yeah, many times, but also got an arm round the shoulder and just a thing like well done from him was enough. It was enough. So, all these great managers have a way of finding the best to get out of a player and, he seems to me that he needs just put in the right direction again, Marcus, and play with an enthusiasm, which we all know he's got, because when we see the pictures of him, how, tears running down his face of what it really means to him. And I think that's the art of management again, where, Den Haag has got the problem with Sancho. What's the situation?
How's that going to play out?
Well, I mean, I think the manager's made his stance pretty clear that you reform to my way, or it's not going to happen. Now, can there be a reconciliation? Who knows? You would hope so, because there's certainly the kid's got talent, and they've had a major fallout. And as usual with this, the managers win usually, when you're picking a fight with the manager, it's the wrong one really, to pick a fight with, because usually they win. Indeed.
And just one question on Bruno. Speculation taking him to Bayern Munich earlier in the week. I don't know if you saw that. Company's very interested in him. He can't leave, can he?
No, he cannot leave. You have to. I mean, look, for me, the one shining light in the last few years has been Bruno. I mean, he plays with huge intensity. Yes, he gets a bit frustrated at times and he can be a bit petulant at times, but in terms of a footballer, you look at the statistics, he plays 50 games a season.
He does, doesn't he?
He scores 15, 20 goals a season, has a top assists. He is a top player, so you don't want to be losing him.
No, absolutely. Every Man United fan will endorse that, no doubt about it.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.